Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Tommy Fury and Jake Paul are supposed to be fighting February 25th. Initially, it's supposed to be fighting in Saudi Arabia, but we all know with the issues with Tommy Fury and all the Furies and Kugan Cassius and about half of the damn UK that can't travel anywhere outside the UK, especially to the States, because of Kinahan. So, nevertheless, man, they're supposed to be fighting in Manchester there in England. But they say the deal is done, but I'm going to tell y'all right now, we've been getting these guys, Coppingers and the different boxing outlets and a lot of these entities where we should be able to take their word for if a fight, if they announce a fight, the deal is done, we should be able to take that and run and report it. But, I don't believe anything anymore until it happens, because what little bit of energy that I had left in me when it came to getting ready for or excited about boxing matches being announced, Earl Spence and Terence Crawford in this last year, going on a year and a half here by the time they get in the ring with different opponents, right? It's kind of depleted what little energy I had left. So I just want to put that out there right now. But the story is, man, it's supposed to take place in Manchester. These two have been going back and forth for a while. This is like the third time. They're saying the third time's a charm, because Tommy Fury pulled out the first two times, man. He's got his pull-out game is on point, isn't it? But now we're seeing that it could be happening. And bottom line is Jake Paul's hoping there's not going to be any more medical concerns, any more traveling issues. They're in the UK, so Jake Paul's doing his part to try to bring the fight to the fans, because let's be real. Tommy Fury's a name, but let's be real. Jake Paul's a real draw, okay? But doing it in the UK makes financial sense, all right? So we get that, but Jake Paul doesn't need Tommy Fury. But I think when you look at opponents, and Jake Paul is very strategic to his approach to boxing. He's not necessarily going to jump in there with my favorite fighter right now, Blair the Flair Cobb. I always talk about him because he's funny as hell to me. But they're not going to put him in with that kind of fighter. They're not even going to put him in with an Ivan Redkach. They're not going to put him in with anybody who's a real threat. There's a lot of money invested in Jake Paul. And they have this roadmap of where they want Jake Paul to be in the next couple of years with Showtime. Matter of fact, in the next year or two, they may be coming up to the end of that agreement that they put together and both parties signed. So I know that their whole thing was for Jake Paul to fight and win. There's a lot of money made when Jake Paul fights, especially for Showtime. That's why they approached him and they did a deal. Okay, so you better believe they're going to put Jake Paul in interesting fights with fighters who have name recognition, but fighters who aren't going to pose that much of a threat. And that's why I say an interesting fight. Tyron Woodley, I'll be honest with you, the majority of us thought Tyron Woodley would win. But when he got in there, you saw that, okay, Jake Paul really is taking the sport seriously. And in the rematch, you saw that Jake Paul's taking the sport seriously, but if these fighters aren't taking him seriously, you saw what can happen, all right? Then he gets into Anderson Silva. Of course, these guys aren't boxers. Anderson Silva, I think he kind of lost his right to complain. But I'm going to tell y'all something. Right? MMA fighters are tough. And boxing is just a completely different sport, right? But if you get a guy who's usually getting kicked in the face and kneed in the face, right? When you get a guy like that moving backwards and thinking twice about letting his hands go, then there must be something special about what you're doing in your ring, about your hands. Now, I'm not saying Jake Paul's the new Arturo Gatti. That's not what I'm saying. The blood and guts warrior. No, Jake Paul is not that. But what I will say is, going in here with Tommy Fury, he gets to check the box of having fought a boxer, and then he gets to check the box of having fought a real name. But at the end of the day, right, look at what they're doing. He's not fighting a real threat. If y'all saw Tommy Fury's last bout, supposedly that was just an exhibition, okay, because his opponent pulled out because of something about the weight issue, right? So, nonetheless, Tommy Fury, I think he's going to train very hard, and the fight can be interesting. But Jake Paul is as well. Okay, so let's just pay attention to what's going on. Also, this could affect what's going on with his brother and trying to have a fight out there because, Tyson Fury and Usyk, all this stuff is up in the air. So you look at Jake Paul fighting in February, Tyson Fury and Usyk trying to get it in February. Now they're talking about later. Usyk, rumors about him being a mystery opponent for Wilder. So this could be another reason why we just don't know, right? It's just gap filler at this point when I'm talking. But what I'm saying is kind of look at how things are starting to open up. It's like a domino effect, like we only get bits and pieces of information. But when you start looking at this kind of and trying to get a holistic view of any and everything that could affect fight dates, you can't sit here and tell me that Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, this deal, they just didn't start working this deal last week. This has been going on for a while. You can't tell me to have a big event like that and expect people to pay the good hard-earned money to come to watch the event and also on pay-per-view, right? You just can't expect Tyson Fury to try to have a huge event in the same month. So let's just pay attention and just see how this affects Tyson Fury and his fight date with Usyk. And if, in fact, it causes Usyk to do something different and fight Tyson Fury. All right? But the venue hasn't been announced. I just know right now they're saying it's supposed to be in Manchester. Initially, it's supposed to be fighting in Saudi Arabia, but that's, like I said, that's all off the table. But look, man, Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, man, they just have a lot of fans, man, and they keep attracting fans, in the sport of boxing and outside the sport of boxing. So we're just going to see, man, with these events that Jake Paul keeps doing, Tommy Fury's doing, we're going to see just how big this can grow and what else he's going to bring to the table. And my thing is now, here we go again, another, box check, tomato can, easy. I'm not going to say easy win, but a pretty much a guaranteed win for Jake Paul. But at what point is this man going to step up and fight somebody? At WBC, I don't know if they ranked him. They were talking about ranking him. If he gets ranked, there's only so much of this BS he can continue it. But at the same time, hey, there's a lot of fighters that fight low-threat opponents first 15, 20 fights. So we could see Jake Paul go ahead and maybe get to 15-0. But by that point, somebody will surely run and jump off a damn bridge because there's only so much of this you can take. But at the end of the day, good job for Jake Paul. Good job for Tommy Fury. My understanding is Tommy Fury may be getting $1 billion, 1.5, and then maybe a split of the pay-per-view revenue. But we'll see how that plays out. I don't know what Jake Paul's getting, but you would think that this would generate a lot of money, and I hope they make a lot. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul fight a real opponent. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. I'm in the breeze.